The podium gleamed under spotlights as Dad adjusted the microphone for his father of the bride's speech. 500 guests filled the grand ballroom of Manhattan's Plaza Hotel, representing New York's most influential political and business networks. My sister Victoria had married Senator James Harrison's son, cementing our family's position among America's political aristocracy. Looking out at this distinguished gathering, Dad began with practiced confidence. I see leaders who understand what it means to build meaningful careers, to contribute to society in measurable ways. He paused dramatically, his eyes finding me at table 12 near the back of the ballroom. I sat quietly in my navy dress, the one I'd selected specifically because Victoria had insisted on conservative elegance for family members at her wedding to political heir Christopher Harrison. Patricia and I are blessed to have raised children, Dad continued, his voice carrying clearly across the elegant space. Though I'll be honest, not every parenting journey follows the same trajectory. At least one child made us proud tonight. The applause was warm and appreciative as New York's political establishment celebrated Victoria's achievement. Harvard Law, Senate Judiciary Committee staff attorney, now married into one of America's most influential political families. The perfect daughter who'd fulfilled every parental expectation. Victoria represents everything we hoped for in a child, Dad concluded with genuine emotion. Unlike some family members who've chosen less conventional paths. More polite applause rippled through the crowd of congressmen, federal judges, and UN officials who understood the subtle family dynamics being referenced. Everyone knew the story. Victoria was the success while I was the disappointment who'd wasted my Columbia degree on humanitarian work that paid poorly and offered no social prestige. Elena had such potential, Mom often told her charity board friends, but she got distracted by these relief organization jobs instead of building a real career like Victoria. What they didn't know was that my relief organization work involved serving as special envoy for crisis mediation under UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, managing peace negotiations in conflict zones across 3 continents. My wasted degree had led to classified diplomatic missions that shaped international policy affecting millions of lives. My secure phone vibrated with encrypted priority. Special Envoy Martinez, Secretary-General requesting immediate consultation. Syrian peace process requires urgent intervention. Security detail coordinating venue access. I glanced toward the ballroom's main entrance, calculating logistics. Tonight's emergency involved collapsed ceasefire negotiations that could destabilize the entire Middle East region. The Secretary-General's urgent consultation with American diplomatic officials couldn't be delayed for family wedding obligations. Through the plaza's ornate windows, I noticed increased security activity on Fifth Avenue. Black vehicles with diplomatic immunity plates positioning themselves near the hotel entrance. Senator Harrison took the microphone next, his decades of political experience evident in his commanding presence. The Harrison family is honored to welcome Victoria into our political legacy. We believe in public service that creates lasting impact on American society. He gestured toward our family table with senatorial authority. Victoria understands what it means to build meaningful political careers, to work within established systems that actually influence policy and governance. The subtle comparison drew knowing nods from the congressional representatives and UN ambassadors in attendance. New York's political establishment appreciated clear distinctions between serious governmental work and idealistic humanitarian activities that lacked real influence. Of course, Senator Harrison continued diplomatically, we respect all forms of public service, even when some family members choose more peripheral roles in international affairs. The condescension was elegant but unmistakable, clearly referencing my work with peripheral humanitarian organizations that operated outside serious political power structures. Several UN officials in the audience smiled politely, assuming they understood the family dynamics. At exactly 9:23 p.m., enhanced security protocols activated throughout the Plaza Hotel. Federal protection units appeared at strategic locations while diplomatic security personnel conducted systematic sweeps of the venue. Wedding guests began noticing the increased official presence. Ladies and gentlemen, the hotel's events coordinator announced nervously, we're implementing enhanced security measures for distinguished international visitors. Through the ballroom's main entrance, a formal diplomatic procession appeared, 8 individuals in ceremonial United Nations attire, led by a figure whose presence immediately commanded absolute respect from every political official in attendance. Special Envoy Martinez called UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres across the ballroom, his Portuguese accent carrying clearly over the shocked silence. "Thank goodness we located you. We have critical developments in the Syrian peace negotiations requiring your immediate mediation expertise." The Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom fell completely silent as 500 guests witnessed the world's highest-ranking international official treating their designated family disappointment as someone of obvious global importance and diplomatic authority. Dad's confident expression dissolved into confused panic. "Secretary General, there's clearly been an identification error. Elena works for small humanitarian groups. Basic relief coordination. Nothing that would require UN leadership consultation." Secretary-General Guterres' expression shifted to diplomatic bewilderment as he observed the family dynamics. Special Envoy Martinez coordinates peace negotiations affecting approximately 47 million people across active conflict zones. Her mediation protocols have prevented 3 potential genocides in the past 18 months. Senator Harrison stepped forward, his political instincts recognizing legitimate international authority. "Secretary General, what kind of peace negotiations require this level of UN leadership involvement?" Special Envoy Martinez designed the diplomatic frameworks that ended the humanitarian crisis in Yemen, Guterres explained with matter-of-fact precision. Her conflict resolution strategies saved an estimated 2.3 million civilian lives through coordinated ceasefire mediation. The congressmen and federal judges exchanged stunned glances, their governmental experience recognizing the extraordinary significance of preventing genocides and saving millions of lives through diplomatic intervention. Victoria grabbed Christopher's arm, her perfect wedding composure cracking under the weight of international revelation. "Elena saves millions of lives? But she said she did basic humanitarian coordination." Special Envoy Martinez maintains operational security protocols, explained Deputy Secretary-General Amina Mohammed, stepping forward with crisp diplomatic authority. Her cover identity protects sensitive peace negotiations from hostile interference by conflict participants. Mom's champagne glass slipped from her trembling fingers, shattering against the marble floor as the implications cascaded through her understanding of family achievement hierarchies. "We require secure diplomatic facilities for the peace negotiation briefing," Secretary-General Guterres informed the Plaza Hotel management, who nodded frantically while clearly having no protocols for accommodating UN emergency peace missions at society weddings. As we moved toward the hotel's conference facilities, the African Union chairperson arrived in a separate diplomatic convoy, her security detail coordinating with existing UN and federal protection units. Wedding guests pressed against ballroom windows, witnessing this unprecedented transformation of a political society celebration into an international peace crisis center. "Elena, please." Victoria intercepted us in the marble hallway, her designer gown trailing behind her desperate approach. "This is my wedding reception. You can't just turn my celebration into a UN peace summit." Deputy Secretary-General Mohammed paused, her diplomatic training evident in managing family conflicts during active peace negotiations. Special Envoy Martinez, if this family celebration requires priority over Syrian ceasefire mediation, we can establish alternative negotiation venues. The offer hung in the plaza's elegant corridor like an international ultimatum. 7 years of being called the disappointment, 7 years of watching Victoria's conventional success get celebrated while my life-saving work was dismissed as peripheral humanitarian activities. "No alternative venue necessary," I replied using the precise diplomatic protocol I employed for Security Council briefings. "International peace obligations supersede personal social commitments." Dad stepped forward desperately, his parental authority completely evaporating. "Elena, sweetheart, we've always supported your humanitarian work. We just didn't understand the global significance of your peace mediation." "You understood exactly what you chose to acknowledge," I interrupted with calm diplomatic finality. "You understood that preventing genocides was less important than Victoria's Senate committee work. You understood that saving 2.3 million lives was peripheral compared to political networking." The African Union chairperson checked her secure communication device. Special Envoy Martinez, Addis Ababa requires immediate assessment of coordinated peace enforcement protocols. The Security Council needs our mediation framework within 3 hours. Senator Harrison approached with obvious political calculation, his congressional experience recognizing unprecedented access to international peace networks. Special Envoy: the Harrison family maintains extensive foreign policy relationships. Perhaps we could receive briefings on these peace developments. Senator. Secretary General Guterres interjected diplomatically. Special Envoy Martinez coordinates classified peace negotiations at Security Council level. Family relationships are not factors in international diplomatic clearances. Victoria's face crumpled as she realized her perfect wedding was being overshadowed by the sister she dismissed as a disappointment. The UN leadership had arrived exactly on schedule, revealing everyone's true global importance. The Syrian peace negotiations resumed 18 hours later using mediation frameworks I'd designed. The renewed ceasefire prevented an estimated 400,000 additional civilian casualties, with international media crediting UN Special Envoy Martinez for preventing humanitarian catastrophe through diplomatic intervention. Family reconciliation attempts began before morning news coverage ended. Victoria, Christopher, Mom, Dad, even Senator Harrison, all desperately trying to establish relationships with their newly discovered UN peace negotiator. Every call went to diplomatic voicemail. The Security Council offered me appointment as Undersecretary General for Peace Operations with expanded authority over all conflict prevention worldwide. I accepted before leaving the UN briefing session. During my final week in New York, I received elaborate invitations to Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearings, to properly recognize Elena's extraordinary peace achievements. I declined with diplomatic courtesy, citing transition obligations to UN headquarters. Victoria sent one final message after my promotion was announced. I know we can never take back calling you a disappointment, but we're proud of your peace work. I didn't respond. Success had taught me to value meaningful relationships over obligatory family recognition. Dad's father of the bride's speech became a diplomatic case study in how families can completely misunderstand their most accomplished members. Some lessons about achievement can only be learned through international humiliation at your own daughter's wedding reception.